Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Stefan, this is Dave Kaplan's list that he used to get second place at Eternal Weekend North America in Dimir Lurrus. Dimir Lurrus is, of course, one of the default best decks in Vintage. It's a fair, ultimately pretty fair control deck. It plays like a legacy deck in a lot of places. We don't have a Time Vault combo. We don't have Paradoxical Outcome. We don't have any infinite loops. There's no Mishra's Workshop, Bazaar, Baghdad, none of that stuff going on. We don't even play the full number of Moxen we're allowed to, just the 3 on-color ones, the 2 main colors of the deck plus Lurrus. The goal of this deck is to use the 7 main deck forces plus Daze, that's a ton of counter magic, to overwhelm your opponent's early game, and then slowly grind back cards with Psychic Frog, Lurrus, Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, until you are ahead in the mid-game. If you make a Vintage deck play Legacy, and they're not able to Vintage you over the top, it becomes very hard for them to play the game, especially if you're built to play Legacy and they're not. I've played versions of this deck a bunch of times. I'm not going to go over every card. I will talk about the cards that are interesting, though. We've got one Momentum Breaker. This one isn't that shocking to be included. This is a way to answer a bigger creature. It's also a way to passively gain life and then kill more creatures later with Lurrus. A permanent that does that's pretty cool. Dave did play the Time Twister. Not every build plays this. Time Twister is the closest thing to a combo we have, because Time Twister plus Orcish Bowmaster is 14 damage to your opponent. They draw 7, you get a 7/7, you attack them after you deal 7 to them. If you have 2 Bowmasters, they're just dead. This is a way to cheese a game that you're behind, if you find yourself behind, because this deck is not very good from behind. But Time Twister doesn't help you get ahead, so it's in and out of the list based on, do you want a slot to steal games where you're behind or slightly ahead and just slam the door, at the expense of sometimes you have Time Twister in your hand and that card just isn't something you want to cast. Dave has included it, though. And the most exciting card to me is this Demonic Consultation. Normally we see this in Doomsday, where you can either consult for a Doomsday to find one faster, or it's a 1-2 punch with Thassa's Oracle. You name a card that's not in your deck, exile your whole deck, Thassa's Oracle wins. This is a fair and square Demonic Consultation. There's no combo with this. There's no value to having fewer cards in your deck. This is literally just like, I have a window to resolve Psychic Frog, consult for Psychic Frog, it's a 4 of, put it into play, go. Or, I have the Time Twister, consult for Bowmaster, try to get it done. Or I'm going to miss a land drop, consult for Polluted Delta. This is leveraging the fact that we're one of the few Vintage decks that has a bunch of 4-ofs in it. Most don't, because they're playing more restricted cards than we are. But like I said, we're playing Legacy, everyone else is playing Vintage. But the ability to put the card you want in your hand, even at much higher cost than Demonic Tutor, where it's guaranteed, pretty exciting. I'm stoked to play with this card in a fair deck. Here it is. This is Dimir Lurrus, submitted by Stefan, played by Dave Kaplan. I'm on the play in round 1 versus Dragon Day Dragon, who is someone who has submitted decks to this YouTube channel before. I've played decks from this user, and they're usually kind of spicy brews, but they're usually not Vintage, so I don't actually know what to expect from this player here. We got a hi YouTube. Everyone say hi to Dragon Day Dragon. I am going to keep, which is, this is a hand that I would basically only keep with this deck. Spell Pierce being powerful 1-for-1 interaction, having double force, or force plus Spell Pierce, to make it through turn 1 if they're sending it on something. My goal is to roll their ankle. They just said in chat they have no clue what they're doing. They're trying to learn from my channel literally right now. Well, I suspect that this is PO then, and I am going to Spell Pierce this Mana Crypt, because this Mana Crypt represents things like Stock Up and Paradoxical Outcome and an Accelerated Lurrus, all things that I don't really want to have to play against if I can collapse it. Big Fish. All right, well, Big Fish only matters if they can keep it alive and then push through it, and my Wasteland will help that. Then we'll have to tap Mox Emerald just to keep that in play. Mystic Remora is good against decks that are trying to do things fast, but I'm a deck that's trying to do things slow. And if they can start playing powerful cards over the top. Like if they Ancestral Recall right now, and I have to Spell Pierce, and they don't get the Ancestral, but they draw a card off Spell Pierce anyway, that's all good stuff for them. Ugh, Soul Ring. Yeah, it's starting to pay out. I am going to Pierce this because I believe it's right, but Mystic Remora is going to be worth a card on the way through here, which I wish I could have just waited it out. Oh, that's gross. Okay, they have the Force. I'm not going to Force back. Force pitching Snapcaster Mage, you can have your Remora for a couple more turns. A lot more turns, apparently. This is enough mana to get Lurrus. All right. And I can't actually play out this Mox because I don't want to give them a card. Mystic Remora doing its job here, big time. I could have forced the Remora, but I thought after piercing the Mana Crypt, I would be in better shape to wait it out. And that may or may not actually end up being true. Oh god, they have PO over the top. Well, I have to force that. That's going to be worth more than one card. Remora is good for 2. I know the only card in their hand is Lurrus. And now they actually can't pay for the fish. That was a gamble that did not pay off. Okay, okay. We are kind of back in, except that they are +2 cards on me, and I know they have Lurrus in hand, which can replay the Remora. Merchant Scroll, gross. All right, so that's probably going to be another PO. And we're looking for a blue card. Something that pitches to this Force. Soul Guide Lantern's not it, but it can redraw. Lantern, I'm going to hit the Mystic Remora, because that's their best thing to Lurrus, and I'm going to draw a card. All right, cool. I'm not dead. If they lead on Lurrus, they can play Mana Crypt, and that gives them more mana and more cards to pick up with PO. But at least I'm not getting buried by fish anymore. Oh! All right, Thundertrap Trainer Conqueso. I can't afford to force that. It's good for 2 cards after looking at 8. So this is basically dig through time. But PO is going to be a straight up draw 4, draw 5. They hit Black Lotus, which represents Lurrus. Sink into Stupor. Black Lotus. Lotus can play Lurrus, then Lurrus can play Lotus. And I think I just have to let all of this occur, and then at the end of the chain counter the PO. Okay, so they actually missed the free Lurrus along the way here. And now I just have to hope they whiff for the rest of the game, pretty much. But this is what my deck does. All right, Demonic for Ancestral, reload. We know the coast is clear. Wasteland is not going to help me. They've got, or they don't have double white. I could actually keep Lurrus out of play with a Wasteland. All right, I'm going for that. My Lurrus is 2 turns out anyway. Like having 5 lands next turn doesn't get me Lurrus any faster, so wasting them off their Lurrus feels good. And I gotta hope they just don't follow up with anything important anytime soon. I will purchase my Lurrus. This Fatal Push lets me answer theirs if they play it out. But I do have to play the subgame of what cards would they have and not play. And it's basically counterspells are the only answer. Which means my Lurrus is not safe. And I'm going to give up on Fatal Push to get my Surveil land going. I need some action. Time Twister. I'm not playing that shit versus a deck who I just wiggled down to nothing. I'm not going to give PO 7 fresh cards when they have this much mana in play. Okay. I am going to play out my Black Lotus, because that can turn on Fatal Push if I need to do that. But I actually just can't shove Lurrus here into Hardcast Force of Will. It's too free. They would have played out lands if they had them. They would have played Stock Up or PO if they had anything like that. I'm looking for a counterspell to back up my Lurrus, or something like Orcish Bowmaster that might be good enough to bait a counterspell on their turn. All right, you're attacking. I am going to Bowmaster here. Let's stem the bleeding a little bit. I'm just going to ping the Offspring. Okay, there's 5 mana in the pool, but it's not double blue. Oh god, did they have PO over the top? That's fucked up. Alright, bad news, everyone. I think that was just drawn this turn, but it's still not great for me that it's there. I'm going to at least kill the Thundertrap Trainer to deny whatever number of cards that's worth, but I think I'm dead. Okay, the Bowmaster is in after all that, but they did just draw a lot. And they know my hand is Lurrus, so there's nothing. I'm not playing towards anything here. This is not a good matchup, by the way. This is the combo deck that we don't really want to see. Decks like Doomsday, Jewel, Raker Shops, those decks would have been out of gas. By now, I've played 3 Forces and 2 Spell Pierces this game. but this deck just keeps it coming. Vexing Bauble. All right. All right, immediately drawing a card off Vexing Bauble. That's probably good news. Drew all those cards and didn't have something to keep going. Main deck Plow. Bad news. Tellurian Academy. This is mono blue mana here. There's only one PO left, but they have seen a lot of cards. Okay, well, there's the last PO. Carry on. Thundertrap Trainer. Con Queso. It's pretty safe to concede this game in terms of I don't think I can win it. However, I don't know what my opponent's win condition is yet. Sometimes this deck is hybridized with Underworld Breach, and sometimes it's Fourth Aerolingus. And I don't think I've seen enough to tell me that answer either way. Though, maybe the Swords to Plowshares tells me it's not Breach, actually. Maybe I do have that info. Alright, I'm going to cast Lurrus right now, while it will at least cost them 2 cards to force it. And I do have a second card that might be good enough, but also not really, because they've cast all 4 of their POs already, and they pitched their Snapcaster Mage to an early force, so we're done POing. There's still Ancestral Recall in there somewhere. Lurrus resolves. Hate that for me. There's Thundertrap Trainer in the graveyard to keep going. Vexing Bauble. You got it. Flame of Anor is in hand, and I know it. That kills Bowmaster, but the draw is before the deal 5. I just have to hope they get greedy somehow. Alright, well, there it is. Do you somehow have no additional action? These 3 cards in hand are all blank. Okay, I am going to deal 1 to Thundertrap Trainer, because if this Flame of Anor resolves, I can kill Lurrus with those pings. Alright, Lurrus is actually going to die here. Interesting. Whoa, alright. I don't think we should still be in this game, but we are. Stock up. Here comes this. Whatever the last win condition in their deck is, they are now at that. Snapcaster's gone. All the POs are gone. 2 Thundertrap Trainers are accounted for. Lurrus is gone. In a 4th Aerolingus for X is 10 will kill me just fine. But maybe I'll rip Force of Negation before then, or it would be a great time to draw a Treasure Cruise or Dig Through Time. Lorien Revealed, one of my reloads. Okay, opponent has 7 cards in hand to my 0. We're both at 12 life. They have 7 trillion mana to my way less. Gotta win somehow. Orc Army attack. I'm not gonna push this Thundertrap Trainer right away. Or should I? What am I worried about? And if I was gonna do that, I should have done it. I guess I would rather represent literally anything than let them know the coast is clear. All they have to do is cast 4th Aerolingus or Underworld Breach, and I'm over. This is a lot of mana in the pool. Okay, I see mana for an X-Spell leaving their pool. Conveniently, enough mana to hardcast Force of Will, backing it up. Alright, you did it. To the sideboard. Null Rod's coming in here. Mystical Dispute is alright. Fatal Push and Time Twister are coming out. I just don't want to twist this deck, and Bowmaster is good without Time Twister's help. They have so much mana, I don't think I'm going to daze anything. They are a deck with artifacts. Annul and Consign, I don't really see what those are for. I could bring in a second Soul Guide Lantern, which makes Snapcaster and Lurrus worse while giving me a redraw, but that also steps on my own Null Rod, so probably not. It looks right now, based on this map, that I'm going to get Time Twister or Daze back, because I only have 4 cards I actually want to bring in. So they did have Mystic Remora. Maybe Annul has enough juice on it. Hitting an early mana rock or a fish is nice. And it's blue. At minimum, pitches to force. Maybe on the play I'll leave in Time Twister, and on the draw I'll reconsider. I could say the same about Daze. Alright, let's leave Time Twister in. Though we saw in game 1 why I don't really like it in this matchup. They just dump out their hand faster than me, and I don't want to refill them if I'm not winning the game. Okay, I'm going to keep this hand with Ancestral Recall. When to deploy it is a little more interesting, because I could hold up Mystical Dispute into their turn. I don't want to turn on their Pyroblasts and other stuff like that. I also don't have to Force of Will everything. I'm actually going to play it cool on this, because if they do something disputable, like Remora, I can counter that untap Psycholorian Ancestral anyway. And having 2 counter spells up. These aren't blue cards. Settle down. Yep, doing vintage stuff. Doing vintage stuff that is very weak to Null Rod, which is in my deck now. What's all this? Thunder Trap Trainer, Conqueso. I will Mystical Dispute this for sure. And if Force blue card is the last stuff in their hand, I have Force as well. If not, I'll just go to my turn. Oh yeah, okay, that went great. Okay, if I Ancestral myself, I'll be at 8 cards in hand. If there's a land among them, I won't have to discard. If I cycle or revealed, hit a land drop, then the land drop's guaranteed. Not discarding also guaranteed, but I would also rather have Lorien in my hand. If this hits the land that it's pretty likely to hit, I'm just going to Ancestral and hope we connect here. Sick. We did it. All right, pass the turn. Soul Guide Lantern. I don't like that because it makes my Lurrus worse and my Treasure Cruise and my Dig Through Time, but I think they're just going to have to cycle it off here. Another Thunder Trap. I don't think I'm fighting over that. With 1 card in their hand, I think I can figure this out other ways. Vexing Bauble, shit. Well, that one's a lot worse for me. All right, Force pitching Force on that. That was basically Mind Twist if it resolves. Okay. I was going to Island Cycle, but that's my Force blue card, and I think just Demonic Tutor for Null Rod is where I want to be here. And I'm just going to grab a Null Rod, pass with Force backup, and hopefully delete all their permanents next turn, and then beat them with these Bowmasters. Attack for 1. Yuck. Well, if anything's worth a fight, it's that. This is the showdown. Hopefully they just put Lurrus in hand and pass. Okay, Lurrus is in hand. They can't force me because Lurrus isn't blue. Oh, hell yeah. Wasteland pretty nice here. That puts them to no mana at all. I think that is more valuable than getting Bowmaster in. We got an ouch LOL in the chat. Yeah, welcome to Vintage. Null Rod is the cost of doing business when you're a deck like that one. I'm going to Brainstorm. Vintage has a lot of powerful cards in it that can quickly change the quality of a hand, like Psychic Frog. All right, Orcish Bowmaster, Mox Jet back on top. Sewer dumps the Jet because it's off from my own Null Rod. Psychic Frog stabilizes and then wins this game. If they have Land Swords to Plowshares right now, then I have 2 Bowmasters come in next turn. But they're currently in a lot of trouble. Okay, I will jump the Frog. Jet, Wasteland, Delta out. I am trying to draw cards and bury them here, not touch butts with Thunder Trap Trainer. As it currently stands, I would have to discard a Bowmaster to beat the Thunder Trap in combat. Not interested. Okay, that's more like it. It did take both of the forces I had to get to the point where then Null Rod, a sideboard card I had to tutor for out of the sideboard, was enough, but that is how successful games look. All right, Time Twister on the draw and Daze on the draw both feel worse. I also don't really need basic Island in my deck against them. They don't attack my mana. I could cut Mox Pearl as well. I'm trying to play Null Rods, and that's the worst Mox. Like, if I was really looking for space, but I don't even think I am. The answers to Lurrus in my deck are Force of Will, Soul Guide Lantern's a soft answer, and I have the Momentum Breaker, Bowmaster. Just thinking, do I need something like Long Goodbye in my deck? I don't think I do. Consign to Memory can get Thunder Trap triggers. I think I'm going to go plus Consign minus Pearl. I'm just trying stuff here. Let's go. Well, this hand would be a lot more exciting on the play. I think I am going to keep it, though. Here's that Time Twister. But it is alongside Bowmaster and the most broken card I play. Vault resolves. Okay, that's a moderate speed, I would say. Ooh, Vexing Bauble, huh? How do I want to do this? Lotus first, of course. I can go blue, 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 play Bauble, resolve Ancestral right now. They're untapping into 4 mana. Vexing Bauble's really good against their deck, though. All right. Blue, 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 Vexing Bauble. I actually think Psychic Frog is better than Ancestral Recall here, but we'll see. Hopefully they force this, then I can use Spell Pierce. All right, no arguments. I don't think I want to twist them. All right, I think I'm just going to Ancestral after all. Demonic, Ancestral, Ancestral Me, pass with 7 cards in hand. Most of them don't work under my own bauble, but my hand did just improve, and their deck cares a lot about Vexing Bauble. Like now if they play Stock Up that can't dump out Moxen, cool. They could hardcast Force of Will here. I am going to leave mana up because I can Spell Pierce or Misstep for mana, or I could sack Bauble and unlock Force of Negation, and if they just do nothing, I can Endstep Bowmaster and see what they think about that. Thundertrap Trainer. Okay, that one I cannot interact with any of the things that I have. But Moxen and Black Lotus knock out 6 of the cards, 7 if we count Mox Opal. There's 7 hits that are normally good with Trainer that aren't good right now. There's a stock up. And if I just hit my land drop here, we've got the Twister combo. All right, 1 to you. Okay, I don't have Twister combo. I can Brainstorm. I would like to hit land drops. All right, Challenge Impossible. I'll put back Twister, because that's a long way away now, and this Bowmaster also not being played this turn. And I'll pass. I really like my hand. I really like my position. I would like it more if I had a land. Swords to Plowshares. If I Spell Pierce that... No, this is what Misstep is for. Alright, Mental Misstep. Briefly tried to get clever with making them tap their Mana Vault over a spell that matters less than they want it to. This does mean Vexing Bauble is protecting them right now, which gets their stock up through. If I were my opponent right now, I would be trying to stock up into lands, like specifically lands. There's a Valk. Flame of Anor can break both halves of this, clear the Bowmaster and the Vexing Bauble. I redraw the other Bowmaster, still playing Drago here. Pass. Can't trick me into doing stuff, and now I have a win con. Mana Vault. We're 19 turns away. You think I'm kidding, but this damage does matter. Academy for 1, so non-basic island. Grabbing Lurrus. If that's the best you got, I'm pretty stoked. Can't even cast that right now. There's nothing in the graveyard to use it with. Endstep Bowmaster. Now I'm pushing real damage. 1 to you. Redraw the Twister. Someday. Attack with my Orc Army. Still refuse to tap out here. Opponent takes 1 from Vault. Stock up. Spell Pierce is good enough. I'll take it. I could dispute guaranteed hitting a blue card because the next spell they play might not be blue, but most of them are. All right. I've been flustered, and you've been disputed. We've got it all. I am drawing wild for the first time in a few turns right now. The land instantly ends the game. Momentum Breaker. The game is still not over. I don't think killing Thundertrap Trainer matters specifically. I will continue to attack with this Orc Army. Opponent goes to 11. They're showing 5 mana, which is Force of Will, if they want that. The fetch unlocks Lurrus. Do I want to try to force this? Probably not. I'm beating it on board, and there's nothing in the graveyard to use it with. It's just a 3/2 lifelink, and I have a 2/2. And I'm still not going to crack this bauble. You can't make me do it. Dig through time. What's up? I will probably play that in their next end step, but I remain committed to never tapping out. With 2 volcanic islands up, that could be Pyroblast, that could be Flusterstorm, could be Spell Pierce. What's all this? Oh, okay. They're untapping Mana Vault, sure. That's fine. Yeah, I'm not blocking this because that gives them something to do with Lurrus. They can have their damage. An end step, let's go. Leaving Ancestral and Lotus in there. If they fight over anything in the end step, like they could hardcast a Force here, and then I'm in the same spot again where I draw a land and I win on the spot. This certainly looks like Force. Cool. All right, Tech, please. My family is starving. Okay. Another one. All right, what can they do here? If I jam Psychic Frog, they could run some stock ups together. All right, I guess I'm passing the turn again. Another end step Bowmaster to check for counter spells, and then another draw step to win the game on the spot with a land. I could have sacked the Vexing Bauble on any of these turns, really, to take that extra rip for a land, but I really don't want to give my opponent the option of suddenly dumping out a bunch of Moxen and going for it. All right, Thundertrap Trainer didn't bother to attack this time. The third Bowmaster. Put you to 8. And draw. Okay, there's a land, but Force of Will is back up now. Yeah, I don't really want to break their momentum, but I absolutely want a Psychic Frog. This card is good enough that they have to counter it. Like, whatever it is they're holding. If they have nothing, then Frog is good. If they have anything, then Frog is not good. But there goes Force of Will. That's fine. That's another turn where they have to figure out how Mana Vault works or what they want to do with it. Take the 1 or pay the 4. It's another turn of being whittled down to this lethal Time Twister. They pay the 4 it is. I get a Surveil in this end step. Not my P-hole. All right. Portable Hole can exile probably the Vexing Bauble. Do you want one of the 3 Bowmasters? Do you want the Orc Army? It's actually interesting in its own little way. Okay, they do want the Orc Army. I think I'm going to consign to memory this, because if that flushes out a Pyroblast or Flusterstorm, deal. Okay, no fight over that. I think I'm going to go for the Twister this turn. I think I have enough information to confidently send it. It's even more confident if I draw a land and I can crack the Vexing Bauble. Not a land. All right. Well, what could happen here? Pyroblast, and then they untap with all their resources is the worst case scenario. I've tested them 3 times and they passed 2 of those tests. They might just not care about consign, but I'm going for it. And having the combo button, it was nice that I was able to sculpt a plan around it game 3, but it was also a dead card in my hand for the last 10 turns. It was in my opener. It's turn 10. I finally did something with this. I think I'm ahead in this game without the Time Twister, but I guess having the button to win is nice. If I had another card, like any other card that had use in this matchup in the sideboard, the Twister would be gone. But if it maps out that you get to keep the Twister and bring in all your cards for matchups like this, then sure, I'll take it. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2 versus a Lurrus deck. Can't keep this no-lander. Mulligan that. I will keep this, though. Obviously, I have the concern that it doesn't have a lot of interaction or really do much. But if this is a Dimir Lurrus matchup, having double Wasteland's pretty nice. I'm going to get rid of Bauble so I can power out this Bowmaster if I want to. All right, opponent is on 5 cards. Drawing the fetch land's great. That gives me so many options. I'm not exposed to Wasteland. I can get my Surveillant if I want it. I can Spell Pierce off it. I can Bowmaster off it. Juice in the tank. Right, Meticulous Archive. I think that's only in PO. So Esper Lurrus, they could use that as their Surveillant. Oh, okay. It's some Jeskai something or other. Thundertrap Trainer. I'm going to let that resolve. And I'm actually going to respond right now with my Orcish Bowmaster. I don't want them to dig up a Force of Will off of the trainer, but this is how I want to use my mana. They got Vexing Bauble. That will betray them if they play it. Wasteland, I'm more worried about white. That's the Lurrus color and the Swords of Plowshares color. And pass with Spell Pierce available. They're doing okay on lands over there. Another Thunder Trap. We hate this guy. Lotus Petal. Interesting. So is this a Breach deck? What's that about? I'm not going to cycle here. Lorien is useful as a potential blue card. There we go. Rewarded immediately. I'm going to take them off white again. And just grind into the mud. If they start missing land drops, that's great. Okay, just didn't do anything on a full turn cycle like that. I could grab Lurrus this turn. I don't think I want to tap out a Spell Pierce. And I don't want to randomly Time Walk just to draw a card. That shit's whack. Okay, now I have enough going on that I'm going to Island Cycle for my Surveil land and then pass the turn. Surveil, Bowmaster, hell yeah. I'll put that on top and pass. If I'm attacking, like if I have a 2/2 Orc army, that's enough to Time Walk off of. Right, they found land. after thousands of years. I hope they just go for a Flame of Anor or a stock up, something I can spell pierce cleanly. Time Walk. Do I care? No? Alright. I think they can walk, that's fine. It's a pretty low velocity walk. The same type of thing I was just trying not to do on my turn. I take my 2 from combat. Another Thunder Trap. Don't love it, but it's not a force of will. Mox Ruby. Vexing Bauble is really interesting. I'm thinking now, so I'm not obviously in the tank if they cast it, but I have Force of Will, which does care about that, but I have multiple Spell Pierces. And I'm about to go walk into Bowmaster. I draw, Time Walk, start there. Time Walk can get flustered or pierced, Bowmaster can't. And I can tap out much more confidently. And I think I'd actually rather leave a 2/2 in play than trade with 1 Thundertrap Trainer now that they have 3 of them. I'm not even really getting through. And I have enough mana to buy Lurrus without tapping out of any of my interaction. We are at the spot where some powerful cards might be able to get through my pierces, especially backed up by Bauble, but if they crack Bauble, it triggers 2 Bowmasters. It would cost them Lotus Petal to get Lurrus on the stack. Flame of Anor. Okay, so I am going to Spell Pierce this, though them drawing 2 cards would trigger both Bowmasters. Yeah, that's interesting. So my Bowmaster would die. They'd draw 2. 2 of their trainers would die. Yeah, maybe I should have let that resolve, actually. Oh, and I was about to play Lurrus. Yeah, I fucked up. I should not have countered that, because I play Lurrus, replay the Bowmaster, I have a 6/6 in play to their nothing, and we're just game on. Yeah, I messed that up. I do have Force of Will plus Spell Pierce up now. You've got Lurrus in your hand. I'm still not fetching. There is 1 Brainstorm in my deck, and look at me drawing it. Look at me drawing it. Right, Brainstorm. Dig Through Time, hell yeah. Look like land and probably Mental Misstep. Fetch. Underground Sea, Dig Through Time. Right, digging. My own Vexing Bauble. Time Twister. Do we win? Time Twister, and I guess I want Psychic Frog in case this doesn't do it all. Yeah, they have to have a Spell Pierce or a Flusterstorm. If they crack their own Bauble, that'll trigger my Bowmasters, and I have a force of my own to fight back. All right, Force Pitching Stock Up, Force Pitching Spell Pierce, another Force Pitching Snapcaster Mage. All right. Okay, you win that battle, but I do get to attack for 4. It costs Lotus Petal to do that, which means Lurrus can't actually be cast here. Now it can. If they have a land, they could replay Thunder Trap. But right now, it's Lotus Petal or Vexing Bauble off of the Lurrus. Mox Emerald, so Thunder Trap is online. Trainer's in. I clearly have nothing, and we're in a showdown of Lurrus where their graveyard has stuff in it and mine doesn't. Underworld Breach. Yep, good to know. The Lotus Petal kind of hinted at that earlier. So I'm interested in exactly Soul Guide Lantern off the top. Get the fuck out. All right, Soul Guide Lantern. I will exile their Vexing Bauble, I guess. And then I'll play my Lurrus. And then I'll draw a card with Soul Guide Lantern. And then I'll play Soul Guide Lantern. And exile their Lotus Petal. That was a pretty good draw, not gonna lie. I don't think I'm supposed to attack here. Underworld Breach is on the stack. I will exile each opponent's graveyard in response. If they have, like Brain Freeze or something to keep going, this turn is not over, but I can't just let them Time Walk twice. Right, Mana Vault from hand. And Breach goes away. Cool. All right, well, now I feel like it would be hard to lose this game. All right, Momentum Breaker. I'm starting on this because I want to exile the Thunder Trap Trainer after they sacrifice it. Mental Misstep. What a twist. I've got one of those too. They exile Thunder Trap Trainer. Jam Psychic Frog. The squad is here. This is what we're doing. And I am going to pass. I could be attacking. I could be getting more aggressive with this 4/4, but I don't want their Lurrus feeling comfortable attacking me back. And they're just going to chump with a trainer, and then I have to Soul Guide proactively. Don't want to do that shit. Okay. End of turn. I can draw a card. Wasteland. I can take them off white. Oh, the demonic consult. What do I even want with that? I don't even think there is a risk I'm willing to take off of that one. Okay, Soul Guide Lantern, play that out of the graveyard. Force of Negation, that's actually really good. All right, so an actual good draw. Hardly seems fair. Do I want to consult for Force of Negation in response? We are in the moment where that could be good. Oh, I have 1 Force of Will used. I have 3 Force of Negations in the deck. Yeah, I think this is good enough. Just doing a double check, make sure I don't cook myself. As long as all my Force of Negations aren't in the top 6 or bottom 1 card of my deck, we're fine. Force of Negation. All right, don't show me 0 cards in my library. All right, I exiled a lot of cards, but I am going to win this fight. Yeah, seem worth it. Soul Guide Lantern's back in. Exile your Breach. What did I lose there? 2 frogs, Black Lotus, 3 frogs. Okay, so the only frog in my deck is in play right now. And I'm going to jump the frog. Attack for 1 flying. That raises my max speed in case life gain becomes part of this outcome. I'm going to take you off white and pass the turn. Soul Ring, sure. All right. Draw with Soul Guide Lantern in the end step. Mox Pearl, that's discard fodder for Frog. Urza Saga's Nutso. Soul Guide Lantern. Exile Tundra. I should have attacked first. It's fine. Exile 1, 2, 3. Attack. No blocks. Discard Mox Pearl. Discard Wasteland. Just trying to get the game over. My speed is 3 now. Oh, well. That can end the game. Would you like to draw 3 cards and take 6? We did it. Unless they can somehow not take damage in response. Cool. Okay, Breach. I've got cages, annuls, rods, lanterns. I don't think I want Long Goodbye or Dismember. I could see Dispute being a fair thing to fight over. Okay, these pushes are out. Again, I don't really want to twist a combo deck, even though I did put them to the test that game, but they passed the test and then the game got weird. I think I would have also won that game if I had just held up my interaction. Days can go out. Consult, fair consult. Had a moment there. I can cut Pearl, and maybe I don't actually need all these cages. What does this look like if I just take it easy instead of going nuts? I get to keep Twister, or no, I get 2 disputes. I think I like that better. Because Cage turns off my Lurrus as well. And if I can control their graveyard with Soul Guide Lantern, or they can't combo with Null Rod in play, those are both things I'm happy with. All right, let's go. It is possible to do too much in the sideboard, and I think I was about to do it, and came back from the brink. I like my hand. Keep. Mana Crypt, spooky. Soul Ring, yeah, they're doing it. Vexing Bauble. Okay. You thought I would force that, but joke's on you, I didn't. I'm going to play Underground Sea and Ancestral in their upkeep. Oh, they're just snapping off the Bauble? Hell yeah. Even better. Okay, so they have played around my Gitaxian Probe successfully. Ancestral myself in your upkeep. It resolved. They won their Crypt Flip, 6 cards in hand. Mox Sapphire. 4 mana. It can't be Karn the Great Creator. No, Lurrus. Alright, just put Lurrus in hand. Alright, it looks like they have a mana hand that doesn't really know what its identity is. Okay, Mox Jet comes in. Land comes in. I'm going to probe them. I want to see what they're up to before I decide if I'm going to play this Bauble out or not. Flame of Venor, Swords of Plowshares, Tolarian Academy. That's a good one to hide from me. Oh, I could resolve Demonic right now. Yeah, I don't think they have a win. I think I'm going to Demonic for Null Rod and just set up for next turn. Grab Null Rod and pass. Yeah, their hand is mono blue mana with red and white cards and black cards in it. And I'll play this Polluted Delta. If I play this Null Rod, then Vexing Bauble is just the rule of the game forever. I guess that's fine. Null Rod. What are you going to do about it? Nothing? Just have no permanence? Deal. Okay, pass. Now they have to play Academy to even try to play the game, and I have Wasteland Strip Mine in my hand for whenever a land shows up. Oh, a different land. Unlucky for me. But I can apply pressure. Bowmaster, start chipping. Draw for turn. Wasteland you. Attack for 2. Might as well Soul Guide. Hit the Vexing Bauble. And I can't force anyway. Let's cruise. I could have had Spell Pierce up here if I had cruised before playing the Soul Guide. Hope that doesn't cost me the game. Right, so they have Swords to Plowshares, which I could have pierced. Yep, that works. Regrettably. Nothing could have been done to play around that. They attack you for 1. And double up Null Rod. Just make sure they don't squeeze out of this. Mana Crypt puts them to 3. So now they're on a 3-turn clock from me, and a 50-50 to die on any of those turns from themselves. Attack for 1. And I will purchase a Lurrus. Swords to Plowshares, that's fine. You're as likely to die to yourself as you are to me at this point. Ding. Okay, cool. Took game 1 this time. A Miracle top deck, the Soul Guide Lantern on the turn. They showed me a Lethal Breach, but then game 2, once again, sideboard kicked in. On to the next one. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play in round 3 versus a non-Lurrus strategy. I'm going to keep. I have Force of Will versus Combo, Momentum Breaker versus Creatures, and Wasteland versus Dredge. So, what are you, non-Lurrus opponent? Mox Ruby, City of Traders. Interesting. I should force this. It's really like how many follow-ups they're going to have, because Momentum Breaker, if this was just Fatal Push, I would have let that resolve. But yeah, Mox Jet would have gotten a creature out underneath, and then I would have been in trouble. Right, Undercity Sewer, Treasure Cruise. I think I am going to hold on to that for now. Wasteland, just try to slow them down. Slowing them down is the job. Got your own Wasteland. I'm okay with this game. Grim Monolith. Tez. Alright, I'm less cool with this game. They've got 1 card left in hand. I'm definitely glad I fought over the Raker, though. Bauble. Alright, Bauble. See what you're working with. One of the 3 cards you might have. Manifold Key. Underground Sea, and pass. Any Force is good. Demonic Tutor. I could Demonic for... Alright, never mind. I'm going to float a black. Make them think I have Fatal Push. Right, their hand is Manifold Key, plus they can tutor. Tutored for Vexing Bauble. Okay. That makes it harder to interact on future turns. There's the key. And they have the top trick going. The top trick is you draw a card, untap top with key, draw a card again. And what ends up happening is you draw the top card of your deck, top goes on top of your deck, then you draw top. So they're drawing 2 cards a turn, plus they have a Planeswalker active. Plus I die immediately if they draw Time Vault or Glaring Fleshraker. Not in good shape. Okay, they spun the top and then drew a card with it without untapping the top in response. So I might just be dead. Oh yeah, cool. There's that guy. I'm dead next turn if I don't draw something good, and I did not. Alright, GG's. Okay, and against this matchup, Null Rod, huge. Consign to Memory, Annul. Long Goodbye and Dismember can kill the Fleshraker. Pithing Needle can name Sensei's top. I do not need Soul Guide Lantern. I don't think I really want Vexing Bauble. I want my Free Permission active. I can cut my Pearl. Momentum Breaker, kind of mid. I need to kill a specific thing that brings its own army with it. Mental Misstep hits Sensei's top in this matchup. That's probably good enough. Probe can go. I do want the Time Twister. Daze seems mid, but it is a blue card. They are a Wasteland strategy. If I cut Mishra's Bauble, my Lurrus gets a lot worse, but I don't think this game is really about Lurrus. I think I'm going to cut this Consult. That's, I don't know, maybe I'm being a baby, but that seems worrisome. And I either have to leave a Dismember at home, or I think I'll actually want to side grade Fatal Push into Dismember, because I can always Dismember with 1 mana. Fatal Push doesn't always kill a 3-drop. Bummer. This hand would be so good with 1 island. All again. All right, I will keep this. And I think it's Strip Mine that goes. I'm just going to shove Psychic Frog and try to protect it or myself with Force of Negation and do stuff. Wing and a Prayer. Jet. Vault. All right, I'm going to wait for a payoff. I can Dismember a Raker. I could force a Tezzeret. All right, well, there's that. Let's have our fight. And it's my turn. Okay. Getting in, drawing a card. Force of Will, not helpful currently, but might be one day. They missed their land drop after that Tez didn't work out. Ruby. Monolith. Breaker. All right, end step. Dismember. Pay 2 life, 1 black, and 1 colorless. Frog, get in. I'd love a blue card or a way to draw cards. Another Dismember, sure. We're almost a Force of Will. Their Vault and Monolith are tapped right now. Time Vault, terrifying. Okay. Wasteland, sure. Sensei's top, can't fight over that. Time Twister. That is better as a blue card than as a Time Twister. Okay, I now have Force of Will up twice. I'm going to pass. Manifold Key. Well, that doesn't work for me. Force Pitching Twister. Wasting. I'm going to float a blue. Try to throw the scent off what I'm actually representing here, which is an answer to the Raker. Spinning Top. Okay, Null Rod, Consigned to Memory, Force of Negation. These are good draws for me. Okay, they must not have seen anything helpful in the top 3. On the draw. I don't think anything changes. These are the cards I think are good, and I'm going to continue to play with them. I think I am being a coward about this Consult. It should probably be in, but I don't know where to put it. All right, Double Force and some other stuff. They are a Wasteland deck. All to 6. The Shop, first appearance of that one. Soul Ring resolves. This is not going to resolve. I'm just deciding how I want to counter it. I'm going to Force of Negation because their deck does care about creatures, and I think I want to pitch Force of Will and still maybe believe in Treasure Cruise. And a Crypt. Sensei's top. You know what? No. No card selection. Nothing. Nothing's allowed here. Whatever that last card in your hand is your last card. Ooh. I'm going to Urza's Saga and name... I can name Manifold Key. I can name Tezzeret. I can name Time Vault, just be super safe. All right, I'm going to name Time Vault. I kind of wish the top had resolved, but obviously I didn't know I was drawing the 1-of Pithing Needle there. It's a lot of mana. Worm Coil Engine, shit. I got no plan for that. And Manifold Key resolves. Force of Will. So what do I need to do here? I need to get Orcish Bowmaster going with Lurrus to chump block this Worm Coil every turn, and then even that is like, they're still gaining 6 life a turn, so how do I beat it? I think I've lost. Oh, the sideboard pivot doing its job. I'm going to get Black Lotus, that's the only thing left to get. Fetch. Buy Lurrus. Play Lurrus. Play Lotus. We need Bowmaster or Psychic Frog that can jump this thing over and over. The Lurrus does cut the clock in half because I gain some life back. Oh no, don't do more stuff. I can't deal with more stuff. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. Bad news. Do they have a 1-mana artifact that kills Lurrus? Or messes me up somehow? Like some Graveyard Hate would stop Lurrus looping? Vexing Bauble. Yeah, that stops me from replaying the Black Lotus. And untap the Worm Coil. Alright, so this game, what I needed to do to win was let Sensei's top resolve. But yeah, it's over now. Okay, so I had the tools there. Maybe I didn't respect the juke correctly. Maybe I just needed to always respect the last 1 card in the hand of this deck, because it could be the best one. Yeah, especially drawing the needle immediately after forcing the top. That looked really bad. Okay, On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4 versus someone with no Lurrus whose username is Dredge. I'm gonna mulligan my hand. That doesn't work anyway, whether I think they're Dredge or not. Okay, I am going to keep this hand and bottom Fatal Push. There's a good chance their username is telling the truth, but I'm not going to mulligan specifically. All right, well, now I've seen Serum Powder. They are actually playing Dredge. I respect the commitment to the bit. But a hand that accelerates Urza's Saga up a chapter using Time Walk, I like that. The Time Walk can get me to Soul Guide Lantern faster. My opponent's still mulling, by the way. They've powdered twice, and they're on an actual mulligan to 4. Okay, 4 cards before they found the Bazaar. I'll take any help I can get. There's 1 Force of Will, 1 Creeping Chill accounted for in exile among cards I really care about. Bazaar activation will put them to 3 cards in hand. Force blue card, Grief black card. There's a lot of things that aren't great for me here. Hollow 1, all right. Okay, end step, get the Surveil land. Mishra's Bauble. I don't think I want this. Put that straight into the graveyard. Draw for turn. Wasteland, I want that quite a bit. Now, I am going to still roll the dice on Time Walk. If they have Force Blue card, that could actually get me. Because that's a whole turn of Bazaring. Okay, it was not Force Blue card, but now I get to waste them, and Urza's Saga is going to get Soul Guide Lantern next turn immediately. Right, waste you, and I have Bowmaster. That can block Hollow 1 for a while. All right, pretty good stuff. Let's hope there were not 2 Bazaars in that Multi 4. Based on their hesitation, it feels like they have Force of Vigor. Okay, Noxious Revival. Sure. Though that might mean they did have Force of Vigor, but they were just using Noxious Revival to get there. All right, I am going to try not to take any damage I don't have to take right now. A Bazaar activation would put them to 0 cards in hand. Oh wait, I actually want the Orc Army, because if I just send the Twister, the game is over. Alright, never mind. This is a combo turn. And I kind of just told them what I have based on playing the card and then not blocking with it. And Daze, oh my god. Yeah, having a combo button in the deck's pretty sweet. I'm going to get Soul Guide Lantern, see if I can convince them to do anything they don't need to do. Target Stinkweed Imp. Fetch. Do the Twist, which is also Graveyard Hate. Just throwing that out there. Okay. This is 7, 14, 15, 16. I can have them at 1, or I could kill Hollow 1 and have them at a little bit higher. All right, I'm going to kill Hollow 1 and then go face with the rest. Oh, wait. I should not have killed Hollow 1. If they had activated Bazaar, they would have died. Shit. All right, I actually messed it up, which is not unheard of. I'm known to do that from time to time. Not interested in a lethal attack. Sure, have a whole extra turn to Dredge. That's fine. I still have Soul Guide, though. We're gaming. Opponent's at 5. Could have been 1. Bobble you. Creeping Chill on top. Okay, so if they have Force of Vigor targeting Soul Guide Lantern, then end step Bazaar activation, I could still lose this game, even though they could be dead right now to this Bowmaster active trigger, and I blew it. This deck does ask you to make all of the correct micro decisions all of the time. I think this deck is not particularly difficult to play if you are aware of everything every vintage deck is capable of and all of the way that your cards interact with all of their cards, which I'm doing pretty good at, but even just something as simple as just forgetting that that's a thing. Okay, so my plan here is if they tap Bazaar, I'll Soul Guide in response. If they just dredge Stinkweed, that missed. There is another dredger in there, but it didn't hit any big bangers. If they tap Bazaar here... Oh, wait. No, they're... double Bazaar. Well, all right. Now I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until something happens out of their graveyard, and then I will respond. There is no... Oh, they dredged one and missed. Wow. Okay. That's great. That means Soul Guide Lantern is lethal now, because if they tap the other Bazaar, they die. All right, you're at 2. The other 2 Bazaars milled over. They're all accounted for. Okay. Not executed flawlessly, but good enough to win against the Multifor. Grafdigger's Cage, Pithing Needle, Soul Guide Lantern all coming in. I think Consigned in Memory is probably too cute. Fatal Push is out. I like Time Twister. Daze is actually just Force of Will in this matchup. They don't have any mana. I like everything that makes me go faster. Might not need Basic Island. Sometimes Dredge boards in some Wastelands. I don't expect that to really happen here. Momentum Breaker can clean up hollow ones and get me out of Creeping Chill range if the game gets sloppy. That's probably good enough. Mental Misstep can hit. Noxious Revival specifically. I think in my Wasteland deck, I like Mental Misstep for Noxious Revival more than Force of Negation, because most of the cards they're going to play, or the spells they're going to play, are on my turn. Like, they're going to have Force of Vigors and Force of Negations, which by definition of how these cards work, I can't counter with Force of Negation. All right, I think this is my plan. Let's go. But one of the big strengths of this Dimir and Dimir Lurrus control deck is that they can beat Dredge Game 1, as we just demonstrated. Opponent Snap kept 7. I'm going to keep... I have a Wasteland and multiple ways to fend off Noxious Revival. Grief. All right, pitching Shambling Shell. All right, I don't have Mental Misstep anymore, I guess. We'll see what they care about. Like, if they just don't have Noxious Revival, they might take Time Walk here. If they just have double Bazaar, they're all set there. They can't take Wasteland. Bazaar activates down to 3 cards. The Grave Troll. That card is restricted. A second Wasteland. Okay. I have a line of defense against the second Bazaar now, but I do have to figure out the slow dredge, even if they don't have the Bazaar. Okay. Well, they must have a counterspell because they had the chance to take this misstep and didn't actually take it. Or they didn't have the revival at the time that they griefed me. Are we in? Did we do it? Okay. Yeah, they must have drawn the revival after griefing. A Narcomoeba comes in off the Grave Troll dredge, but Stinkweed Imp still in the graveyard. No additional gas found off of that one. Big turn to draw something useful. Demonic Tutor might help someday. All right, I'm going to play Sewers, try to find extra looks at the goods. Psychic Frog could stabilize versus a slow dredge, just as a creature that's big enough to tangle with their shit. I will keep this. Moment of truth. There's a Stinkweed Imp that can dredge 5 one more time, and then they're just playing with what they got. Creeping Chill. They did find another Golgari Thug. That's another dredge 4. There's a Prized Amalgam, but it didn't trigger yet. Okay, I'm going to play Frog this turn, and then Demonic Tutor for Soul Guide Lantern next turn. If they have a Force of Will... Okay, they didn't. Great. I know Troll and Imp are 2 of their cards. Troll, Imp, Thug. They milled and hit Shambling Shell. So they've literally dredged a 6 into a 5 into a 4 into a 3 without any additional gas. It's like watching their life squeeze in behind them or around them, and it's just getting worse and more dire. It doesn't take much to break it loose, but currently feeling okay. All right, I think I want to attack with Psychic Frog first. They probably block with Narcomoeba. Every card matters right now. All right, Narcomoeba block. I will fetch and cast this Demonic Tutor. If they've been holding on to a force, it's probably about that time. Soul Guide Lantern. Clip that last dredger, question mark. We're in there. I'll take the Shambling Shell. And now they gotta draw cards until they have 8 cards in hand and then go to discard naturally, or just randomly rip a Bazaar. Force of Vigor, my Soul Guide Lantern. All right, I will exile their graveyard in response. So that read from the early turn that they might have Force of Vigor was actually true. Or was that last game? Am I just full of shit? No, that was last game. I lied. I didn't know anything, ever. Momentum Breaker. I could have played that to enhance my max speed, but I don't want them to discard a card. Never mind. I should not play that card. Like, literally just bad. Okay. Lurrus to my hand, pass. Yeah, each opponent who can't discards a card. No thanks. We got the GGs. Okay, yeah, just Wasteland Gaming versus a dredge player. Got maybe a little unlucky on those slow dredges, but I put them into slow dredging, so we'll take it. On to the next one. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. Positive record locked, bread and butter 4-1 on the line. I'm against a Lurrus deck. If I was certain this was PO, I would consider this hand. Double Force plus Ancestral on my next mana source. Almost there, but if this is a mirror match, this hand is horrendous. I'm going to mulligan. I will keep this one, and I guess this Soul Guide Lantern goes to the bottom. If they're Breach, I just mulligan my best card to the bottom. But if they're PO or the mirror, it's fine. Force of Will, pass. This is a spot I don't really want to get hit by a bunch of Wastelands in a row. Damn Tutor. All right, well, go ahead, actually. I could have pierced that, but Vamp Tutor costs you a card because it puts the card to the top of your deck. All right, they vamped for Ancestral. I have a Pierce for that. You've got a Misstep. I've got a Force of Will. Showdown. Wizard Battle. Okay. Not bad. Consult. All right. Well, if they have a second send, Consult for Force is live here. I have the blue card. It's some kind of Grixis deck. Stock up. Don't love it, but it's not worth a Consult for Force. Mox Jet. All right. I mean, I'm just going to play Frog here. This is the best card in my hand. Let's make it happen. Decks with Vampiric Tutor normally are not fair decks. I suspect I'm against a Breach strategy. Yep. Suspicions confirmed. Value Breach to hit Ancestral Recall once or twice. Lotus Petal. Alright, I might die. We'll see. Petal is an interesting twist. If they have Brain Freeze, it's actually just over. I don't have a Mindbreak Trap I can consult for. I could have just passed with Bowmaster up and consult for Forest Pitching Frog available. This was a calculated risk. I'm still not sure it hasn't paid off. They can Ancestral and still have 2 mana up with just Ancestral in the graveyard, and then they can sack Lotus Petal and have 2 cards in the graveyard. If Ancestral gets access to Brain Freeze, I'm cooked. All right. Ancestral, 1 card in the graveyard. Please don't cast Brain Freeze from your hand right now. Gitaxian Probe. That's actually really good. Now, any 1 mana play is another Ancestral, because they can sack the Lotus Petal for the 3rd card. Gamble. Oh, bad news, everyone. Mana Drain hit the graveyard. That's not what they gambled for. Yeah, here's Black Lotus. Now they can gamble for freeze and win? Or do they have to win the gamble? Intuition, Jesus. All right, I'm so cooked. Yeah, I mean, I didn't trust in Demonic Consultation, and I bottomed Soul Guide Lantern not knowing the matchup from that mulligan. I don't feel too bad about that. That is what it is. Okay, so I guess I want to just give them Force of Will. Make them at least exile cards for mana, though it's over. At this point, I'm just looking at their deck. There's one way I might still be able to win this game, which is if they empty their deck the whole way. Or no, that's not even true. Never mind. I'm full of shit. I was about to say, if I demonic for my Ancestral and they pass with no cards in their deck and I have no cards in the deck on my turn, then... Oh, wait. They exiled their Ancestral. This might work. All right, hold on. All right. This is not going to work, but there's too much counter magic over there. If I have Ancestral Recall in my hand in my upkeep and I can target my opponent with no cards in their deck before I die to having no cards in my deck, that's something. But once Breach gets going, like, they have access to this Flusterstorm and all this other shit at this point. This does appear to just be the mana drain Lurrus Breach deck, though. This deck is pretty popular right now. My only hope is they mess up, which is very hard to do. It looks like they have Intuition instead of Gifts Ungiven, though, which is the typical way to do this right now. All right. I cannot beat the Flusterstorm in the graveyard, or the Force of Will in the hand. A Soul Guide Lantern, Null Rod. We have played against Breach once already. It was a little different, but same ideas. I didn't see any Psychic Frogs milled over. Unless they come out of the sideboard, I'm not worried about it. The pushes, the Twister, the basic Island. Or do I cut Island and Pearl? I've been cutting Pearl when I bring in Null Rod. I don't know if that's right to do if I'm also cutting the Island. That's still 18 lands. That's a lot of lands for a vintage deck. Plus Lorien Revealed and the 3 things I still have. Yeah, I'm fine with that. All right, I took a gamble there that did not pay off. And one of the things about playing this deck is just not really taking gambles. You want to just make sure you don't die, and over time you will get ahead. But that one felt the right level where I was okay with it. And I'm going to keep this double Soul Guide Lantern hand. That at least keeps Breach off my back for a little while. I can follow up with Frog. I hope they force this, and then don't kill me on turn 1. Until misstep. All right. You got me. Soul Ring. Black Lotus. That's a good card. Okay, Misty Rainforest, Black Lotus, blue, 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 black, Psychic Frog, Time Walk, Fetch, Soul Guide Lantern. Not bad. All right. I mean, the game's not over, but that was an insane turn. Bowmaster, good follow-up. Attack with Frog. All right, double Bowmaster, no counterspells, Soul Guide Lantern chilling in play. You're up. I mean, Pyroblast is a good card here. A Braid's not good enough. I will discard 2 cards to save a Frog from a Braid. I have the Breaker for Lurrus. Uh-oh, I've been tricked. They did have Frog. Okay, Lurrus in hand. End step Bowmaster. Ping you. Probe you. Right, Intuition, Delta. Well, I'm going to Momentum Breaker to kill the Psychic Frog. They can just replay it with Lurrus next turn, but if my Frog draws a blue card right now, I can force Lurrus, and then we're Gucci. All right, big draws, come on. Yeah. Sucks to lose Ancestral Recall, but it's worse to lose to Lurrus immediately. All right, there's the Delta. They could just Intuition for 3 forces in response, but if I can flush the Frog out of the graveyard, that's fine. Mana Drain, fuck off. All right. Well, that was a good draw, but they're just going to go to their second main. They can't spend that mana, and I can deal with the Psychic Frog before it really does anything. Spell Pierce, not ideal. I am going to attack with Bowmaster and Frog. I have a backup Bowmaster. There's no way they could possibly block this, but I'm clearly showing the counterplay of Bowmaster here. I really don't want this Psychic Frog coming back into play with Lurrus. I guess they need a black mana to do that. Okay, I'm actually going to Wasteland the Underground Sea rather than leave up Spell Pierce plus Bowmaster and try to... Like, they have to rip a non-fetch land. They just have to play Underground Sea from their hand. If they fetch, I can Lantern. If they Mox Jet, I can Lantern. Intuition. That can resolve. Playing a dangerous game here, but I have the information to make informed decisions. If they just search their deck for 3 Underground Seas, then they did it. They got Psychic Frog into play. But if they have a fetch land, I can just give them that, and then they fetch and I Lantern. Mox Jet, Time Walk, Pyroblast. So if I give them Time Walk, I can Spell Pierce it. Alright, you can have Time Walk. Spell Pierce that. Now their hand is Intuition, 1 unknown. Lurrus can attack because I've tapped out a Bowmaster. Alright, they still didn't take it. Wasteland's probably not that good, but it's a good discard to Lurrus. Alright, I'm going to attack with these 2 creatures. Oh shit, I should not have attacked with Orc Army. Now Lurrus can attack me back. That was bad. Shit. I clicked too aggressively. Force of Will, not what I wanted. Alright, I'll play Wasteland and I guess pass the turn. That was so messy. This Orc Army should be back to block. Lurrus has a wide open swing here. The problem is that Orcish Bowmaster ping Lurrus block loses me a Bowmaster, where if Orc Army's back, I just have a 2-2 that trades with it and I don't care about. And I can still kill Lurrus in combat, but not how I wanted. Black Lotus. Well, I guess here I have to let them get Psychic Frog into play, because Black Lotus plus Intuition probably also wins the game. And with one card in hand, I guess Psychic Frog's not even that devastating. Alright. That's just going to have to be fine. This is very different than it was 3 turns ago. A Vamp Tutor. That happens. That means if they play Intuition this turn, their Vamp Tutor goes away. Like, the card they just put on top is nothing. That's interesting. Okay. Do I take out Lurrus? I think I do. I'm sure they knew I was going to do this, but this is the axis of the game that Soul Guide Lantern does not have covered. Ours is Saga, big draw. We both have frogs, but mine, I have more cards in hand. Okay, I'm going to attack with frog and I'm not going to jump it, because they can also jump frog. That's just not even a consideration. It doesn't matter. I draw a card, please be blue. 2 wastelands. Huh. Alright, well, waste your volcanic island. Then waste your other volcanic island. And hope that you can't beat me with colorless mana. Alright, ship it. Intuition and whatever they just vamped for, which is probably not a colorless card. Frog can hit me. Bowmaster will ping them down to 6. Maybe the heads up play here was just Soul Guide Lanterning them after I wasted all their stuff, because this is a draw that they didn't need to have. If they don't have a graveyard, they can't jump their frog. Okay, cool. By the skin of my ass, got away with that one. And Psychic Frogs are in the deck, it turns out. I'm not going to go nuts on that, but having like a little more to work with is nice. Maybe -1 Null Rod, because I have Soul Guide Lanterns I'm relying on. And the frog is there specifically to punk Null Rod strategies. A Fatal Push, a Momentum Breaker. We saw Pyroblast, so we know they can answer my frogs cleanly. Is Long Goodbye better than Fatal Push? We're not in a matchup where critical mass is important. We're in a matchup where they might have one of these things. Do I have one cut to get Long Goodbye and Fatal Push in? My opponent's deck also has faster mana than me, because they have Lotus Petals and probably all 5 Moxen, and I don't. So being on the draw, Fatal Push costing 1 matters. I think I'm going to cut this Daze on the draw against the fast mana deck and go +1 Long Goodbye and 1 Fatal Push. And we're at the point where it's less about what are the objectively good cards in the matchup and what are the cards that I think will get my opponent in a spot where I can get a good interaction. All right, well, cost of doing business. Please don't force me back. All right, well, the game's over. I have to top deck Fatal Push right now. That's not Fatal Push. Bauble, target myself, Wasteland, and I have to shuffle that away. I should have fetched. No, I'm trying to draw Fatal Push. It doesn't matter. All right, Frog is a 2-drop. Okay, so my opponent had Frog with Force backup, which is the thing that my deck's supposed to do, but they did it first, and they're on the play. So now I'm just behind Psychic Frog in a position where I have fewer outs to this sort of thing than I normally would. All right, Looted Delta, pass. I can at least start taxing this thing with Bowmaster, I guess. All right, fetch. Bowmaster. Discarding a card. All right, I will go face for 1 because I can't actually kill the frog this turn now. They proactively did the thing that I would have pinged frog and then they could have discarded otherwise. Black Lotus. All right, am I ready to just send Lurrus into the game here? What choice do I have? I'm pretty cooked. All right, Underground Sea, Black Lotus. I am just jamming even though I hate this. Bauble is more important than Black Lotus right now. What are you drawing? Mox Emerald. Okay. I'm not going to be blocking with Orcish. Oh, I might. I have Lurrus. Yeah, that might block. I would actually like to tax their graveyard if they want to jump the frog to guarantee a card draw. Then they have to discard a card and then exile cards, and that's a card from their hand and 3 from the graveyard, both of which are metrics their deck cares about. All right, they slam their own Lurrus. What's Frog doing? Anything? Frog's got to do something. Come on. The card's too good to not attack. Wow. All right, deal. It's a lot of wastelands. I'm going to play Lotus and then wasteland them, which might seem strange, but taking them off Pyroblast and representing Hardcast Force when I know Lurrus is in their hand makes some sense to me. And if I put the Lotus out once, then I can hold up Force for the next several turns while I bobble and waste them. Kept a card on top. Terrifying. I hope it's a red card. I get to know what it is. That's fun. Mystical Dispute. All right. Game on. What is that card that you thought was good? Underground Sea. Yeah, good bet. I am still going to wasteland. We've come far enough that Frog can jump without having to discard to hand size or discard a card from your hand. This is Lurrus mana. Force of Will. I could dispute the Lurrus, but not back that up with Force. But I can back up Force with Dispute if I do it this way. Okay. Got that through. Still not in the cleanest position I've ever seen. I think they should be more aggressive with this Frog than they're being. A Bobble You. Braid. Good thing I blew up all the red sources. Keep these wastelands coming. I've drawn all of them. Might as well use them. All right, so the position we find ourselves in is I'm drawing 2 cards a turn, and I know every card they're drawing every turn. And if they attack with Psychic Frog to push more card draw, it costs them cards in the graveyard, and it hurts them because I ping them and Orc Army. They gave me the GG. All right, well, they conceded. I think they should be pushing harder with this Frog. Like, this isn't Hull Breacher. You can still draw cards and push damage. You even have enough cards in hand that Frog might be able to race Lurrus. Like, you're 15. Take some swings. Okay, I think this was an early concession, but I will take it. A positive, well, better than positive, 4-1 record, losing a tight one to Raker Shops, where I may have jumped the gun and been impatient over where to point my final Force of Will. Yeah, this deck's obviously good. The pieces are all there. If you make good decisions, tight decisions, play careful, you can pick apart just about anybody. The sideboard construction is pretty much totally up to you. How many annuls, how many consigns, mystical disputes, removal spells, null rods, how much and what type of graveyard hate you have, that's all up to you. The consult's a flex slot, time twister, the number of spell pierces, the momentum breaker, the days, even Mox Pearl. There's so many flex slots in this deck to decide how you want to target the things that you're most worried about. Hard to argue with this. It is on my short list of decks I'm considering for the remaining Eternal Weekends this year, and it's basically how do you talk me out of it, not how do you talk me into it. If nothing else speaks to me by the time Eternal Weekend comes around, I'll just be playing some Dimir Lurrus control deck that is the default in the format. A good league, a fun league. Stefan, thanks for sharing this with us, asking me to play it. I love when I can double dip decks people want to see and my own Eternal Weekend prep. Just the nuts. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.